Okay, everybody. Day in the life of a landscape company. Um, you'll see here in front of you, there's multiple clipboards I have hanging on the wall. And why do I have my camera pointed at my clipboards? Well, when you get to be such a large company and you have such a vast array of services that you have to offer, it actually becomes difficult to know what you're going to be doing from day to day. Because one day I can be cutting grass, the next day I can be installing wood chips, the next day I can be completely planting a lawn. And sometimes it gets very difficult to remember what you have to do from day to day. And that's where this clipboard system comes into play. Um, yes, I am a one-man company, but I have a lot of burden on my shoulders. And some people do not understand that when you become as large of a company as what I am. Um, each clipboard up here has a day of the week assigned to it. The very first clipboard is my estimate clipboard. And those are basically pending jobs that I'm waiting to hear on whether the customer says yes or no. Every other clipboard, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and so forth. There's 7 days of the week, so I have 7 clipboards up there. And yes, I do work on Sundays. Sometimes it's mandatory, like this time of year, yes, I am working Sundays. I was working 2 different jobs on yesterday. I finished up the one from Saturday, and I started the one that I'm going to be working on today. So therefore, yes, I do work on Sundays. Mainly it's in the spring of the year, sometimes in the fall of the year. Middle of summer, I'm usually not working too many Sundays. I might be doing things behind the scenes, but Sundays are pretty much a mandatory thing for me. Um, Winter time too. If it snows on a Sunday, I'm working on a Sunday. Um, but to give you a little insight, office area, you'll see that there's 2 extra clipboards there. Right here is my clipboard, sitting right on the end of the table. But there's 2 extra clipboards, and the reason why there's 2 extra clipboards is the one with the tablet actually is Juanita's clipboard in case she has to do stuff on site with me. We can link up to the office computer by use of our phones and basically create um, a VPN connection right into the house, and she can actually do stuff on through the internet right at the office computer, so to speak. But the singing clipboard, and there's a phone sitting there. That's in case I have a singing crew out working, doing something or other. That's actually their phone and their clipboard. You'll see sitting there on the table also is the office phone in case customers try and call the office, and when Anita's here, she answers the phone and takes care of usually the customer billing questions. But you'll see here both computer screens. Yes, I do run QuickBooks if anybody's familiar with QuickBooks, because I have such a sophisticated system that I have to deal with from day to day. I have to keep inventory on salt supplies, topsoil. Typically on hand, I usually have 40 yards of topsoil on hand. Wood chips, I can have 30 yards of wood chips on hand. Right now, I think I have natural wood chips sitting there of about 30 yards. So I think I have 10 yards of chocolate sitting there. But I have to keep inventory of all that for basically office work purposes. So basically, I run QuickBooks because it gives me invoice opportunity. Um, Second computer screen is more or less there in case we're doing multitasking on the computer, needing to look up a price for something for an estimate. We got 2 screens there that we can do one thing on one and one on the other. But in the back, you'll notice that I have um, looks like an office supply container. Well, that's where we keep the missed call tickets and Scotch tape, and basically all your office supplies that you would have. Ink cartridges for the printer, because I do have to mail out statements at the end of the month to customers if I need to. I try not to mail out statements, but if I have to remind a customer, I have to have a printer to mail them out. I do have customers that do give me email, and my QuickBooks allows email. But sometimes you have no choice but to mail stuff out, and I have to keep the postage on hand. All that little stuff. When you start a company, and that's kind of what this is geared towards here, um, is for the guy who's going to be starting out his company. Um, you may not need it right away, but at some point you're going to need to basically start an office, and you got to, it's almost one of those things you got to figure it out as you go. But for me, this system works. So some think that might be a little old school, but sometimes old school is the only way that works. And in my case, I need these reminders, and my clipboard system is the reminder. Currently, I already have today's work orders on my clipboard, so with that, I'm going to get the day rolling, and we're basically going to be out the door, going and doing what I got to do. And so we'll see you when I get on the job site. But anyway, to give you a little idea, yeah, this is what it's about. The start of the day. Okay, everybody, here's the start of my day. Basically, like yesterday's video said, I was going to be cleaning up all the apple tree trimmings. Well, here I am. I had to put it in fast forward motion because, yeah, it's about an hour and a half's worth of work. So I tried to condense it down as much as I could. But anyway, yeah, here I'm running the wood chipper. And basically, right now I'm actually having a problem with one of the first branches I was trying to get in there. It had a lot of bends and elbows to it, so I did manage to get it in, but it was kind of a fight with it. It was a larger branch that had a lot of elbows. But anyway, yeah, it's a lot of bending over and picking up. As I said in the other video, you're going to notice that I'm picking up a lot of small twigs. And you might wonder, why is he picking up all these little twigs? Well, you could rake them up, but if anybody knows what apple tree trimmings are actually like, you have a lot of little sticks. And the only way to clean up the area is basically to pick them all up by hand. And so a guy could burn them all up, but in our area we can't actually have burn barrels. We're actually in this customer's area, they can't have a burn barrel, so it has to be disposed of in other manners. So basically I just put it in the chipper and it's a done deal. But anyway, yeah, having a burn barrel would be the answer if you could just, dispose of it that way. But it all works out in the end. I just throw it in the chipper and it all does get chipped up. So, but yeah, gives you a little insight. A lot of work involved in cleaning up these little apple twigs, but it turns out there was about an hour and a half's worth of work total. But yeah, so it was interesting, but I did manage to get it all picked up. So in the end, it all worked out. Here again, you'll notice you've seen me that looked like I was bending into the machine. the little secret rule with this machine is if you keep your feet planted on the ground, you won't get into the machine, because as you can see from here, it's a 4-foot reach all the way into where the auger or in-feed wheel actually is. So it seems like I'm reaching into the machine further than what I was earlier, but the safety rule was I was nowhere near the machine. Sometimes these little apple branches, you actually got to force them and twist them and mangle them to push them in there, and that was the case with that just earlier there. But anyway, when I'm reaching in like that, I'm just having to push the branch a little bit into the in-feed wheel to get it to catch. So it's one of those things that you just have to do when you're dealing with these little bends in these branches. It can get very frustrating when they don't want to go. But anyway. Here I actually got done working with the apple trees, and now I had to move on to the 2 small little pear trees. Don't look like I'm picking up anything, but the pear trees have a large straight little branches, and basically you gotta clean them all up too. The reason why I'm having to clean all this up is because I'm actually preparing to do the lawn, so I gotta clean up all these little branches in order so I can do what I'm gonna be doing next with the lawn, which will be coming up very shortly here. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I'm doing here, cleaning up a lot of little pear trees. Another thing that I want to quick touch base on is uniforms. A lot of times you'll see landscapers running around with that neon green t-shirt or that neon orange t-shirt, or a lot of different light colored uniforms. Well, I went the opposite, and the reason why is because I have a very dirty job, and throughout the day when I come home I am nearly covered head to toe in dust and dirt and so forth, especially like running the chipper. I have a lot of debris flying around, and at the end of the day, if I have to go see a customer about an estimate or something, the black uniform that I usually wear with my black pants and so forth, I hate to say it this way, but it actually does hide a lot of dirt versus if I had on a neon green t-shirt. So that's one thing that you'll notice with me, is a lot of times I'll have dark colored work clothes on, and that's basically just because of the line of work I'm in, and it hides a lot of that aspect. So okay, everybody. Now everybody wonders how they can do perfect lines and so forth. Well, this is a different method on how you can make lines in a lawn. If you watch and see the machine I'm using, it is an off-the-wall concept which works for spring cleanup, but also grooms a lawn with nice lines. It will take a little bit for this video to go through, unless I put it in high-speed motion, which I think I'm going to have to do because it is a little bit of a time-consuming process. But this machine will clean the lawn and also groom a nice definitive line in the lawn. So if you bear with it and watch the video, you will see. Okay, everybody, to kind of explain what's going on here is I'm actually using a power broom. And when you see me get all the way down towards the pine trees on the other end, what I'm actually doing is when you see me backing up and going forward, I'm actually cleaning the pine needles out of the lawn, because there was a problem on that end of the lawn where a lot of pine needles get into the grass, and it slowly kills the lawn off. So I have to actually take my power broom and I have to power broom that area and push the pine needles back underneath the pine trees. So when I'm coming this direction at me, the area that where my truck is actually parked is actually where I store a lot of my equipment when I'm actually at the property. I do store my equipment at the property, but the area where my truck is actually parked is my equipment storage area. So I really don't have to be picky about where I put stuff when it comes to the discharge of the power broom. So that's why I'm just kind of making an abrupt turnaround right there. But when I get to the other end down by the pine trees, I have to really clean everything up and make sure everything's nice and thorough over there, so that there's no pine needles in the grass. So anyway, I just figured I'd give everybody a heads up on what the accomplished goal is. The overall accomplished goal actually is to get all the dead thatch out of the lawn, which, as you can see, the machine is just tossing the stuff over. And I am, like I had said, or am going to talk about further, is you have to work with the wind, and today was the perfect conditions where the wind was helping carry the debris in the direction I needed it to go. So the power broom is actually working in this instance just about perfectly the way I need it to go. But anyway, some of you actually will notice on the tractor I have chains on the tires. The reason why this tractor has chains on the tires is, one, it's not four-wheel drive. But occasionally I am using this tractor, especially in wintertime when I'm doing snow removal. This tractor actually needs the chains. In the springtime, a lot of times I'll end up needing to do stuff like I'm doing right now in the lawn. You think that the chains actually tear up the lawn, but it actually doesn't. But it does help me with the traction factor, because basically I have a big broom that's spinning the opposite direction I'm trying to go. And if I wouldn't have the chains, my tires would be spinning and I would be actually leaving bald spots in lawn. So that is actually why I have the chains on the tires when I'm power brooming, because the chains do help grip the actual soil, if you want to say, or turf. So that's what the chains purpose is actually on my tires are for. I wouldn't recommend having chains on just for the clear blue sky, but seeing I have my power broom on here, that's why the chains are actually on the tractor. It's just one of those things that it comes in handy to have the chains on the tire for that little bit extra traction. And to give everybody a little insight on how far I'm actually going here, from where my truck is parked to those pine trees, it's approximately 500 feet. So I'm not doing a small little lawn here. There is a reason why I'm using a power broom to do such a large area, and there's a lot of acreage here that I'm actually power brooming, which is out of view on the one side. If I were to show you where the end of the trees actually are, each row, if you can count stripes, is approximately, well, the power broom is 5 feet wide, but angled it's probably 4 feet. So if you do the math, I probably already cleared probably 100 feet. There is some out of area, but I mean out of the lens view, but I probably already cleared 100 feet of this field. So we call it the back field, is actually what the customer refers to it as. But anyway, yeah, it's a time-consuming process. I actually have this sped up at 2x, so to give everybody a little insight. I am kind of cheating on this, but so another thing that you may notice, if you kind of look closely at the camera view, it may look like the lawn actually has a bunch of bare spots in the middle, but that actually isn't bare spots. There's a low area in the center of the yard, which, if you can make it out, it's actually a bird feeder. It's almost directly in front of you. They have a bird feeder. They like it there. It is what it is. But anyway, just beyond that, there's actually an area that's normally wet. The area is normally wet late in the spring. I'm surprised it's actually dry right now. But because of that, this area loses its color in the lawn for some reason, and it takes longer for it to green up. So there's a couple other spots that it looks like it's bare, but it's actually just a yellow part of the lawn. And that's what I'm actually trying to do by running the power broom over it. I'm actually removing a lot of dead grass out of the lawn so the lawn can recover and fully turn green. Because once this back field turns green, it's a nice lush color to it. So anyway, I just figured I'd touch base on that actually there's no bare spots in the lawn. It's just a little bit yellow yet. And the power broom hopefully will fix the problem within the next week or so, as the lawn returns back to its green color. Also, you'll notice that I'm actually kind of swerving around the little bird feeder I mentioned, and then there's a tree there. It's actually a pear tree, but there's two of them there. I'm kind of swerving around them, and what I'm actually doing is I'm just kind of getting the basic around the tree, and then the rest I go and clean up usually with a hand rake, and it's usually a done deal. So that kind of touch bases on that. So I'm not missing around them. I'm going to clean them up later. Anyway. Okay, now as everybody can see, not a single lawnmower was used on here. No mower deck, no nothing. How do you think that stadiums and that groom their fields? Well, if they have an alternative and they need to do it, this is how it's done. They actually use a power broom. Power broom actually has two benefits, because as you see, all the thatch was being dug out of the lawn. I was kicking it all over, and the wind, I was working with the wind, and the wind just kept blowing it to the side I was power brooming. So yeah, occasionally it was blowing back a little bit in my face, but 90% of it was going the direction I was going. So yeah, a little insight, and it's a little trick for anybody who has the alternative to actually use a power broom. It does work for thatching your lawn. You can dig out, you wouldn't believe the amount of stuff you dig out. Helicopters, leaves, twigs. Earlier when I was chipping, which might be in this video, I had a whole pile of wood chips that was missing out a chipper, and right there some of it is. The power broom just kicked it all right over. So if you have the source to use a power broom, if you just think you can just use it to sweep cement, you can use it to sweep a lawn just as well. So, little food for thought from the professional end. And yes, I am not the only one who does this. There are other companies out there who do it. They just don't come out and tell you that that's how it gets done. But long and short of it, be prepared to spend a couple bucks on a power broom attachment. So, but anyway, if you like the video and you want to see more of these types of videos where I'm doing different things from day to day, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe.